right, our drop off is complete. We are one giant bag of yarn later. Hi, hello, my name is Allie. I'm an independent graphic designer coming to you from just outside Toronto, and this is my channel where I talk about what I'm knitting, how it's going, and what it's costing me. And today we have a stash reorganization slash destash slash declutter slash all of the above to finish, because I actually started this in a previous video that I thought was going to be one video and then it quickly spiraled. So welcome back. If you have not seen part one, I would recommend pausing this video, going to watch that one first. I will link it up above so you can go check that out, get caught up. Part one is basically the going through everything, deciding what to keep, what to get rid of, what to do with things that I'm getting rid of. And today we are organizing it, getting everything neat and tidy, which means, yes, we do get very satisfying before and after footage today. So much to look forward to. But first, as for my mug and tea of the day, this is my Danica Studio Rainy Day mug, and I am just drinking some good old-fashioned Twinings Earl Grey. And actually today coming to you from my couch, which is not our normal location, but you'll see later in the video why we're here. I have a little bit more decluttering to do today that is gonna be easier to do here than at my usual setup. And I wasn't planning on needing 2 introductions for the whole stash thing because, again, wasn't supposed to be 2 videos. Here we are. As for what I'm wearing today, this is my Tucker fade from Alicia Palmer, which accommodates bust sizes from 28 inches to 74 inches. And as for cost per wear on this one, I only finished this, I think, like at the very beginning of summer, and I've already worn it 9 times, which feels pretty good. I have found it very useful as like a light summer layer, which is kind of exactly what I projected that it would be, what I hoped that it would be, and it has very much been living up to that. It's definitely been something that I chuck into my bag when I'm like not sure if I'm gonna need another layer. It's been handy. So as far as cost per wear, this was a $206 Canadian total project cost divided by 9 wears, puts us at $22.88 Canadian per wear, which, I mean, like, yeah, right now that's still high, but at this rate, I feel like this is gonna get to a comfortable number, and I'm happy about that. So for the organizing portion today, I'm gonna be sort of sorting and arranging the stash that I'm keeping into the bins that I got for them. I'm going to be arranging things in my new knitting binder that I'm still super obsessed with, and generally just like wrangling the whole situation, getting it in order. So without further ado, let's do some organizing. Okay, so first up, I actually have a new acquisition that I need to figure out where to store and how this fits into all this. So this is the Bob & Brad Q2 Pro Mini Massage Gun, and this was sent to me because this is actually our sponsor for today's video. So I got this a little over a month ago now, so I've had a good chance to test it out and get some use out of it. And first of all, can we just discuss how like small and cute it is? Like, this is small enough that I can convince myself to like have this kind of somewhere handy, which I think is important as far as using it, especially if, like me, you are perhaps a knitter who doesn't take breaks in your knitting the way that we should. And so this has been helpful for me as kind of a tool to remember to take those breaks. It's kind of a nice incentive because it feels nice to use on your hands. That was the first thing that occurred to me when it arrived, is like the meaty parts of your hands. Not recommended to use it on the bony part. That's a part of my hand that gets kind of tight when I spend too much time knitting. And I've been finding that using this on breaks in between my knitting just kind of helps to loosen things back up again. And when I asked them about knitting specific use cases, they did mention this area, but they also mentioned, and I don't know how this didn't occur to me, the forearm and sort of particularly the flexor muscles that are sort of right below your elbow on the inside. My forearms getting stiff are one of, it's not something that happens on every project, but I've had several projects where it happened like really noticeably. I think for me it actually tends to happen the most when I'm doing cabled projects for some reason, and we're not talking about a long break. I use it for about 30 seconds per hand or arm at a time, so it's not super disruptive to your knitting, but it just kind of gets you out of that repetitive motion and allows your muscles to sort of do something else and relax for a sec. I do have to tell you though, my favorite part about this one, the Q2 Pro Mini, is that it actually has these hot and cold features. So if I press and hold this one here, the little, you see the little hot symbol, and if I press it again, it turns red, which is even warmer, and it immediately starts heating up. I don't know why I thought this would be like an oven. I thought that this would take time to warm up. It's immediately hot, it's already hot. And using this on stiff muscles just feels so, like, even just holding this in my hand right now, I'm like, ah. It also has a cold feature designed for inflammation. So I think that's just really cool because I know a lot of massage guns don't have that. And this one does have all the sort of usual attachments that you would expect to have, but also having the hot cold one, and like that is the real selling point for me. And in light of an organizational video, I feel like we can't not like, look at that. Don't you just love a case where everything has a spot? It's just so satisfying to look at. So if you think that this might also help you take some breaks that you're not currently taking, because don't lie, you don't take enough breaks either. This is actually available with a 10% discount if you buy with my link and coupon code, but that link and coupon code depend on where in the world you are. So I will leave those in the description below toward the top so you can find them really easily. And now I just need to figure out where this lives relative to all my other knitting stuff. Because like I said, I want to keep this handy so that I remember to actually use it, so that I remember to take my breaks, because I don't take enough breaks. So like, should it just go wherever my knitting binder goes? Which is itself still TBD. But also like, I think that specifically, like if I'm trying to remember to take breaks when I'm knitting, like I think it really has to be reachable from the couch. Which, does that mean, does that bring us back to the couch bin that I was trying to get rid of? I've had this bin beside my couch. I don't like having a bin beside the couch, but also like, sometimes you just need stuff when you're on the couch. I wanted to get rid of the couch bin, but maybe there's no escaping the couch bin. At least not without like getting rid of my coffee table and replacing it with a coffee table with more storage, but I love my coffee table, so that will not be replacing it. So I think we're back to the couch bin. Long live the couch bin. Yeah, I think we're gonna need to revisit this. But anyway, in the meantime, if you decide you would like to try one of these out for yourself, again, you can get a 10% off discount with my link and coupon code in the description. Okay, we're back. I think the next most logical thing to do is to deal with all of the kind of little bits, because I think that once I have sorted that out, I will have a clearer sense of what sort of yarn things I do or do not need to leave room for in these bins. So let's look at those. So we have my needle case that currently has a lot of those things in it, and we have my new thread and maple binder. And if we want them, I also have these cases that I mentioned that I found last time, and I still have this pencil case. I think I'm planning to remove this from the knitting realm. I tried it here. I tried repurposing something I already had, and this is not cutting it. So that, I think, is getting kicked out. These two potentially more useful as sort of like travel notion sort of situations. The real star of the show, this part of the process, is going to be my new thread and maple binder, which I'm so excited about. I've wanted this for so long. Let's put some things in it. That's exciting. So the way that the binder comes by default is just like this side, and then this page is like one of the interior pages that I added on. This one that I added on, this is the one that's designed to hold kind of all the fiddly little notion bits. Let's stock this. Is it better if I put it this way for you? Like we're doing show and tell. Yeah, let's do that. So I already have a couple of needles and a pair of scissors in my little thread and maple on the go buddy that I showed you from the other day, but I do have more of these needles, as we know, since it took me an eternity to collect them all from the thingy. So I'm going to fill these couple of needle spots there with some tapestry needles. There's just hair everywhere. Welcome to having a double-coated dog. This feels like a momentous occasion. By the way, thread and maple, if it wasn't obvious from the name, in Canada, so we love that. I already popped in here the pair of scissors that I got with that order too. And, oh, I need to find the measuring tape that's intended to go there. Okay, well I just sat down, so we'll put that off for now. Other sort of main things I need to figure out how I want to organize in here are all of my like miscellaneous circular needles, which I don't have a lot of, but just like a couple, and I would like them to have a home. So I can take out the instruction card for now. And these little tag buddies. I still need to look on their website and remind myself what this little like felt backed thingy is for. Editing Alley, I checked the website. Turns out this is a little buffer pad to help like buff scratches out of the leather. Cute. But so we have these pockets, and we have this little snappy loopy thing. We have this pocket, and then we have, these are all sort of little pockets that would hold needles or things like that. Let's start experimenting with where we might want to put stuff. I feel like it would make sense for needles to go over here. Maybe these ones. How do you store like the cord of a circular that's not interchangeable? I don't know if there's like a good way to do that. Thick circulars are so awkward. What if I shove the cable in first? Will you go in just on your own? Oh yeah, okay. And then that kind of gets hidden like under there. God, I'm reminded why I really like having a nice interchangeable circular set, so things are not trapped on cords. It's just these couple that I've gotten for like travel purposes. Now I'm stuck with them because one time airport security in Mexico took away my metal needles. What else do we have? We have my... See, I think that in an ideal world, I would love to get a full set of the Luca Driftwood interchangeables, and that's just my travel set. I just have yet to convince myself to spend that money because like, it's not that often that I'm traveling, and so to have like a whole other needle set with every single conceivable size just for that purpose seems silly. But so these ones, I did get the interchangeables, just not in a set. The last time that I was traveling, I left it to last minute, and I couldn't get the size that I needed in the interchangeables in time before I left. So that's how I ended up with the fixed ones. Which I, you know, do I wish I had had better foresight that time? Yeah. I have a few crochet hooks and a few cable needles. So what do I want to do with those? Would those like share a pocket? Do you guys get along well enough to do that? Is that okay? I mean, right now I don't have a lot of pages in this, so I definitely have extra like space for things to be poking up off the page. So I think that's all right. No, go small to large. We're organizing. Okay, so far so good. I'd also been keeping a highlighter in my travel thingy, but like I said, this only applies when I'm doing paper charts, which is not very often in my case. So probably, like I would like to have one that I like know where it is for knitting purposes, but probably doesn't need to live permanently in like a portable thing. So I think that that maybe should live here. No, it pokes out too much. I think it should live down here. Oh no. Oh no, my lid is down in there. Oh, don't put things with lids. The problem is it's double-ended. Oh no, get out. If I can push it out with my crochet hook. Okay, there we go. All right, we won't do that again. Lid back on. You don't belong in that pocket. Okay, great. Begs the question of where this should go now, because the answer is not there. Maybe just in this pocket, and we'll put it there for now. Reserve the right to change my mind. That's where it's gonna go. All right, so we're getting somewhere. Here's what we have so far. Is this where, no, this is not where this tape measure is gonna live, because my like long wrappy tape measure is going to go here. This and this both get to live in the project bag of whatever I'm actively working on. This currently has some of the like light bulb stitch markers inside, as well as some normal round ones, so that's good. Those can just go into a project bag as is. Other things I have to organize. I have at least one cable for my interchangeables. One is currently my lace cardigan, and one is currently on my essential blanket. Is that all of them? Do I have more? I don't actually remember how many cables my set came with. This is a question that I have to figure out, is where do I want those interchangeable cords to live? Maybe I should get out all of the notions that are in my needle case also, so that they're kind of part of this sorting. And then yeah, like what things should still live in my needle case, but what things should move to this new home. Oh, there's a tiny sewing needle with a broken eye. How helpful. More just like stitch markers. And more stitch markers. Okay. No wonder I can never find stitch markers. One of the things that was in there is my spare pair of 6mm needles, because one of them was missing and I ordered a replacement pair. And then guess what I found in the cracks of my couch? So this is now a spare set of 6mm, so maybe it should go like in this section of my like extra needles. I think that maybe makes sense. What else do I have? A pair of scissors. Where should these ones go? These ones are cute. These are the little like storky guys that I got in my hooks and needles box. Should they just live on the arm of the couch? Should they just be out at arm's reach at all times? Because so I already have these scissors, and I have a pair of scissors in this little buddy that'll be in my project bags like on the go. Should I just keep these out? Maybe. Should I? I think I'm gonna go with that idea for now. More tapestry needles came out of that, so I'm just gonna pop those into this case. Also found several. This must be all. There's 3 of these little keys that are used for swapping out your interchangeables. Though, like I said, I don't usually tend to actually use them. Where should these go? Oh, I just realized there's an elastic thingy here. Maybe that's where my highlighter should go. What did I do with that highlighter? Oh, right, I put it in the pocket. Welcome to my brain. So, oh my God, now my hair's everywhere. Between me and copper, it's pretty hopeless around here. Okay, perfect. Makes sense to me. These little buddies. What am I doing with these? Let's use our brains for a second. These are for switching out cables on needles. This is where my needles live. Therefore, these should live in this zipper pocket, which is where they have been living up till now. So those can just go in there. That makes sense. And I think by the same logic, cables should also live in here. So these can go in this pocket. The rest of my tapestry needles. First of all, the fact that this doesn't stay closed, I think needs some sort of addressing. Oh no. I don't really want to do this yet. TBD. So I don't really use these foam stitch toppers. I might donate those. I do sometimes though use these screw-on ones just when I'm like trying something on and want to make sure it doesn't pop off the ends. I mean, I used to do that and then I stopped doing it because I didn't really know where these were. Now that they've been located, I should maybe use them more often, which by that logic makes me think that maybe they should live like in here, because this is the one, like this little page is the one that can kind of come out and might get used more frequently. Is this true? Is that where I want these to be? Part of the challenge of kind of like setting up a new system is that you don't really know yet exactly how you're going to use it. It's all theoretical until you've actually had like a beta test and used it for a bit. So I'm currently thinking that this is probably where I want to put those. And maybe what I will do is use this to hold stitch markers, and then it can go in here. Actually, what other notions do I have? This is where I kind of left off last time. Oh, I found more scrap yarn. I can go in the fingering weight. My myriad Ziploc bags for organization. I probably only need one of those. This is my thing of stitch stoppers. So I guess I can, that was kind of, I was gonna put them back in, but it's kind of falling apart. Okay, those I think are probably going in the donate pile. Now, this little buddy is one of my couple of different book holders that I have for reading while knitting. So maybe that should go, do you fit here? Okay, maybe that makes sense. I also have this row counter, which I have honestly used exactly 0 times. But to be fair, that's mostly because I got it from Graham's when I first started knitting, but it went missing. It got like buried with a bunch of needles that she first gave me. So when I got my own interchangeable set, I stopped needing them. So I never looked there and I never found this. But so I'm just resetting everything to like zeros. But so it has separate increases, decreases, rows with up to 3 digits, and times. So you could be like rows 1 to 10 3 times and like track that separately. So it's actually kind of handy, and I should arguably have this on hand more often. Maybe I should do that. So where does that mean that it should live? Should it live in here? Maybe it should live in here if this is the one that I'm going to use more frequently. In there with the stitch stoppers, possibly. I also have this, another crochet hook. This is giant though, like 8mm. My God, when did I buy an 8mm crochet hook? What was this, just from my Laura Del Garde sweater? Have I not used it since then? Like, that is ginormous. The one problem is that once I put those big ones in, these little ones want to fall out easily. Maybe they need their own little pocket. Maybe this one goes here so that these ones, this one is a 6mm, so they are different. And then the little guys can go over here. What else do we These are for when I am working on a project that like pokes my finger a lot for whatever reason. Little creepy silicone finger covers. So these, see, I'm trying to resist the urge to just throw everything into this pocket because I know that I won't like that. I just have so many weird little like bits and bobs. This is just like the nature of knitting, I suppose, but Also have a couple of pockets here to keep in mind, and this snap. Okay, I'm gonna put the creepy little finger things in here for now. Though, where is mine? Somewhere, yeah, I have a whole bag of them. So they probably don't all need to be in here. Or actually maybe this goes like in, yes, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna put them all back in. And we're gonna put those over here. I was gonna say like maybe these don't need to be in my knitting binder, but then I remembered like this thing has so much space in it that like I don't think I need to be conserving space in it. I think that my goal should be to get all of my knitting stuff in it, and this is knitting stuff. Can I get it? If I can get it in this pocket, I won't have to like look at how weird and ugly it is. I would prefer that. Excellent. Okay. Creepy little silicone fingers, check. Okay, this is my little hand sewing machine that I've not yet dealt with. It is far too three-dimensional to go in here, so that's a separate problem. I have my flight of stitch markers from Coco Knits, which definitely needs a little bit of TLC. Where did this stitch come from? Because these stitch markers have just, you know, they have escaped, they have run around, they have been used in projects and then put back in weird places. These definitely need some sorting. Maybe some of them are also just like floating around in here. They got like halfway put away. I believe that one of these little cylinders is missing because one day Copper randomly decided to eat it. He doesn't normally eat weird things. That kind of prohibits us from ever putting this back together fully, which I don't love. Part of buying these was like, wow, I like how cute a little setup they come in. So thank you, Copper. Much appreciated. Okay, here's another cable. So we decided that those are going in here. Also have another little ball of this color. Oh, you just keep going. How much of you is in there? See, I feel like an actual like cute color palette might be starting to be visible in here. God, so many weird little things with knitting. Sock stopper, like all the ridiculous little things you just have to like put somewhere. Is that what I put in this funny little, do you fit here? Oh, it comes so close to fitting there. So close, yet so far. Ew, is this like separated? Please tell me that this is still good. Hopefully this will mix back together because like I only got to use this on one thing. So this is a thing that doesn't last more than a year. It's a very impractical thing because I don't exactly use this much of it in a year. I have a ruler slash needle sizer. Maybe this one should go in here because it's very flat and I mostly use it as a ruler. All my needles have their sizes written on them, so I don't really need that. So ruler, and because I will already have a tape measure in here, so if it just happens that I do have this beside me and I don't have this beside me, this will mean that I still have a ruler. So let's go with that. Also have, this is really seen better days. This is my set of tags that I got made from a little Etsy shop to sew into my projects that I sewed into a few projects and then stopped because I hated sewing them. I found it really hard to get them like straight. Like I would pin them looking all nice and straight, and then by the time I had sewed it, it like was crooked, and I don't know. So that was partly what prompted the purchase of this, which I've yet to figure out how to use. So I'm still living in a world where I think I will someday figure that out and use these. We just haven't yet had that day, but it means that in the meantime, I need to keep these and I need to keep them in some way that is nice and organized. And this is the container for the light bulb stitch markers. Is there still a bunch in here? There's like, okay, there's miscellaneous in here. We just need to sort all our stitch markers. Binder clip could be useful. Highlights. Why are there so many highlighters in here? Did I just decide that the sole purpose of any highlighters that I own would now be knitting related, and therefore I just dumped them all in here? Like, what is happening? I've never used so many highlighters simultaneously in my life. Actually, I don't know if that's true. I had a very, very elaborate note-taking system in high school, so it's hard to say. Okay, this is my backup recording cable. What to see? I feel like I'm starting to run out of pockets already. This is the thing. I was like looking at it online and I was like, it seems dangerous to buy like too many pieces for this binder all at once because like I said, you don't really know how you're going to use a system until you're using it. So it kind of makes sense to start with it a little bit more basic and then build based on what you find that you need, especially when it's something that is like a serious investment, right? This was not cheap. but now I'm like, I think I could really use another page or some like little pockets to put all these little things in. So what is the best way to do this based on what I have right now? This is just recycling. I have a bunch of Intarsia bobbins from my poppy tank. I think I can safely get rid of those. What is this elastic from? Why are you here? Who knows? More pattern cheat sheets that are definitely not needed anymore. Paper miscellaneous. More Nora Madara that I'm gonna stash, because like I said, I might need to pilfer every last centimeter I can get if I want to avoid breaking into my next skein, since it's getting so close. Good little stash there. More just like little bits of ends of yarn that were definitely supposed to end up in my bits of yarn bag and just did not. Oh my god, there's another stitch stopper. Did this come with 8? Because I've now found 7 of them. It seems like so many. Whoever, well, I guess this is a reminder that some people work on a lot more projects at once than I do. I also in here have a few band-aids from, I think it was when I was working on my Barnsley sweater. I was running into a lot of like finger stabbing for some reason, and I decided I needed to have these on hand. Of course, since I put them in here, I haven't actually really needed that. Where do I want those to go? Do they go in here? Close to the finger, the creepy finger cuts? Maybe. Stick them there for now. Does this just go in the, see again, I'm just like sticking everything in this little pocket. The pocket's gonna get real thick. This might regrettably just be a thing that does not really fit in a binder context. This might be too much like the little sewing machine. What else is in here? We have a few straight needles that I got out last time I was doing a button band. 10, what size is a US 10? I don't know what that means. Actually, if only I had a needle measurer thing. So it says a 10 is 3.25 millimeters. Yeah, they're both 3.25 millimeters. That must be what I was using for my Minu cardigan button band. Well, for doing that, do these fit in here? They sure do. These are ones that I got as part of Grams's collection. So once in a while, if I'm looking for like a DPN, I'll find them there. These I think can go back downstairs in that whole just basket that I have of her needles, because I don't think that I need these. I think that the DPNs are the more useful generally when I would be needing them. More stitch stoppers. Okay, what else is in here? A Nora Madara label, don't need that. Okay, some try it on tubing. Which also, where are my other pieces of this? Because I definitely have, I think I have 3. So where are those? Don't like that. Okay, I think that part of my storage issue thus far has been like where to keep these versus where to keep my interchangeable cables, because they've kind of just like been floating together because they're a similar type of shape of thing, but I actually need them at very different times, right? Like I need the cable when I'm like setting up a project, and I need this when I'm like in the middle of a project and it's time to try it on. So this I think should live in here as opposed to in here. Where in here? Where do you wish to go? Where do you feel that you belong? Maybe over here? Maybe that'll work. Oh, maybe my tags should go in this back area, because it's a very sort of like flat, tight sort of area. So maybe that makes sense. And this, I have a little thing of like not tapestry needles, but sewing needles. So these are what I was using to sew on the tags. So make sure that's closed. And yeah, maybe that should go in here with the tags. They're so cute, aren't they cute? Look at them. So this is like a superwash one. It says machine wash cold and tumble dry low. I also have ones that are like hand wash cold. But yeah, I love the idea of having these in my sweaters. It would also make it easier to find the backs of my sweaters on the ones where it's less obvious, but I simply never put them in my garments when I finish them. So that's, I really just need to find a process of doing it where I feel like I'm getting it right. So my problem is I don't want to do things when I do it and then I feel like it doesn't look good. So need to figure out that issue. We have string, we have thread used to sew in the aforementioned tags, which this is another, like this is quite 3-dimensional. Maybe we're gonna have to enlist one of these pouches maybe for these miscellaneous items. So if I do that, this, see, I can't get rid of the box because this is what has the instructions on it. So I have to hold on to this. But if I put that in there, if I do that though, am I gonna want my tags to also be in here? Probably. I need to open. It's not working for me in this format. Okay, that's in there. The sock stop is in there. The sewing machine is in there. I think the tags and the needles need to be in there. I think then it's just my little tag sewing on kit, you know? Just gotta make sure I get all my tags out of here. Okay. Ta-da. This is the sort of thing that I could see someday, like when I have a better idea of how I want to expand this binder, because it can hold several pages in it, that I might expand into one that would hold things like this better. But at the same time, these are pretty thick. So these might just be things that like don't make sense in this kind of storage context. I just like dream of the idea of everything I own fitting in a tidy way into this binder. Let me live. Okay, so now all that's left in this bin really is little stitch markers that have fallen and like dust and crumbs. I think we need to start organizing our stitch markers. I can get rid of this. Oh, this can go over here. Okay, now I need to kind of decide what I'm doing with these stitch markers because our beloved copper has eaten one of the containers. So do I put the 4 out of the 5 in their thingies in here and just set the other one not in it? Do I put the other ones in here? Is this a mismatch of various ones so that they're all kind of handy to me while I'm working? I feel like I need a page of this binder that's just like little tiny flat pockets that like close, that's like all my different types of stitch markers. Oh yeah, my extra needles. Where do I want to, I feel like I need to, ow, I'm too old to be sitting on the floor for long stretches of time. Okay, I think this can go in this pocket. I think we're now kind of out of the danger zone of me just like throwing everything in there. We only have so much left, so that can go in there. So far, so good. Now, I think these need to just be relegated back to like office supply land because I don't think I really have a need for more than one highlighter in my knitting life. Oh, this thread should also go in my little sewing pouch, and also these little snap guys. No, I can't sit like that either. Ugh. Whose idea was this? Binder clips. Where do I want my binder clips to go? Do I have room in here? Could actually just like stick that like that. It's gonna pinch and wear a bit at the leather, but at the same time, like that's gonna happen putting tools in and out of this constantly anyway. And I think I should just like accept that because like wear and tear on leather like looks nice, ages nicely, you know? So I think that will maybe do. That still closes well, especially because it's above the part of the page that has this thick pocket. So it kind of like fills some of that space from the other side. Okay, why did I put these back in here? Get it. Okay, this one's supposed to be all of my like safety pin, sort of light bulb style ones. So I will start accumulating those. Okay, how do I have so few of the like tiny ones left? Like I swear I like almost never use these, and yet I have so few of them, which really I think just demonstrates that they are so small that they immediately inevitably become lost regardless of how little use they get. This is virtually empty. The rest of them are sorted, and once again, this raises the question, where do I want to keep these? Particularly the squiggly guys that, thanks to copper, no longer have a true home. Also found in here the little joiners that came with my interchangeable needle set if you want to join more than one cable together. So those I'm going to put, whoops, that's open. First we're going to put these things back in here, and then we're going to close the pocket. And then in the zipper pocket where I put the little keys for the interchangeables. I'm gonna drop those in there too. This is my one little like novelty stitch marker that I just got in my order from Scout and Skein. It's just their little S logo. I don't have any other stitch markers that aren't the like Cocoa Knit set. This one's kind of an outlier. I'm not sure what to do with it. I have my little Cocoa Knits bag that I think I want to put an assortment of these in, but then what do I want to do with the rest of them? Let's get our little assortment going. So we'll just put a bunch of the little light bulb guys, put, a few of the medium round guys. These are ones that I use like the most probably. Throw in a couple triangles for good measure. Sometimes if I have to use a bunch of markers on something, I will sometimes use the triangle as, oh, that's how gravity works. I will sometimes use the triangle as my like beginning of round, so it's like very obviously different. Now these back in here where I tried to put you so unsuccessfully. So this is our little sort of portable stitch marker collection that can go in there. Okay, now we're back to our problem of the squiggleless ones, or these squiggly ones that do not currently have somewhere to be. I think we're just gonna dump them back in here and then load this back up with the others. I do wish that I had invested in the light bulb style markers much sooner. I use these all the time. I don't really know how I functioned for so long without them. I think I only got these like a year ago, and I've been knitting for more than 3 years now. I don't know what I was doing. So I think that these are things that don't currently make sense to live in the binder in its current form. Again, maybe this is the thing where with a future addition to the binder, they will have a home in the binder. I don't think they currently have a home in the binder. Okay, this is actually feeling much better now. Oh, I forgot that there were still a ton of stitch markers at the bottom of this. All right, let's do round 2. Okay, so that is now empty. Check. So this is the bin that has historically sat beside the couch, which no longer needs to do that. So great. There's literally a dog kibble here. Copper! Hi, Bucky. Okay, why? There's like a giant paper clip in here. Where did you come from? It does like match everything else in this tray, but you don't belong with these things. Okay, and now to open everything back up. God, I swear half of this organizing is just picking dog hair out of things. Oh, not many of them are the tiny ones. Where, like, did they just like go into the vacuum to die? Okay, there we go. For real this time. Stitch markers done, sorted. What's next? This is our pile we ended up with of project bags, which is not all of them either, because my Lakes cardigan is currently using one. So we have like a small one, a medium one, a big one, a big one, a small one, a big one, a really awkward size one. This was the like long skinny Luca one, and a ginormous one. So definitely like this size is the most frequently useful. The small and the medium get some good use as well. This one is a real outlier here. Should I maybe be using these for my yarn that's like in the bins to keep dog hair off of them? Or is that then just annoying that they're inside one more thing when I'm trying to like see what's what and find things? No, I don't think I'm gonna do that at this moment. This is not an obscene amount. Like, it's definitely more than a person who knits mostly just one thing at a time needs, but it's also not obscene. So I think that can stay for now. Okay, this is my giant bolster of ends. So this, where is this gonna go? Is this gonna, I would like it to, maybe it can just kind of go in at like one of the ends. If I can open that all the way. Like if it can just kind of go in at a side like that. And cause then it's still like, it is still accessible for me to add more stuff to it. Except, is it too long? Is it not gonna wanna sit there? Is it just gonna mess up my organized vibe? All important questions, but first I think I'm gonna clear up this area a little bit more. Just removing things that have already been banished from discussion here. found a little bit more of this. Turns out I actually have 40 grams of this, which I think a skein is 50, so almost 50 whole grams. That's quite a lot. Maybe for now I will use this little pouch as like a swatch storage for like swatches that are still sort of in use. Like I just recently did a swatch of that Cascade yarn that I'm hoping to create a tank top out of, and so it's sort of still needed for reference. Once I don't need swatches for reference anymore, I put them into my scrapbook. Those are not yet ready to move there. I think I should put my sleeve organizing Ziploc, my very high-tech 2 at a time sleeve yarn organization strategy, in here somewhere. Maybe in behind my creepy little finger cots. Perfect. Oh, I need to find that measuring tape. I should have done that while I was up. Now I think we have to revisit the question of where things actually go in here to figure out how the rest of this system works out. Okay, I'm looking at this stash and I'm thinking like, should I just be consolidating big yarn, small yarn? Because it's not like I have a ton of each, but no, I think it's definitely less than a container of each, but I think it's more than one container. Like I might as well keep it sorted. All right, fine, that can be 2 bins. We also have, this was the bin that's sort of like, it might be like project quantity-ish stuff, or not, like wow, words. Stuff that I won't have to pair with a million other things, stuff that I might just need like one other main color to pair it with, and then it could be a project, or in this case, stuff I might be able to use on its own whole project. So stuff that's less leftovers and more just like stuff I've ended up with that doesn't have a specific project associated with it yet, but that like could have a good life ahead of it yet, you know? So that can all go in there. So this bin can leave. That's good for that. Am I gonna remember that this is where my swatches are? This is the problem with organizing things, though at least this is the benefit of recording organizing things, because I will have a record of where I put things. So next time I can't find something, I'll just have to watch an hour of me cleaning to figure it out. Perfect. Okay, so I think that we can put lids on these now. And I'm thinking these I probably will put in the bottom row. That's kind of how I will keep track of like less like front of the queue kind of yarn. And then I'm wondering if I can possibly contain my new yarn within 2 bins, and that would leave me 1 bin for all of the sort of miscellany to go in. Let's see. So we have this one currently is just my Peru yarn. So this doesn't take up a lot of this bin. So this is one where I'm hoping we can maybe really see some consolidation. This one is already full. That's the Mojave and the Cascade. So that one is good. So it's really the one with my La Bien-Aimée yarn that we are hoping that we can merge. And then to actually put these away, I'm gonna have to rehome my Disney collection. So definitely won't all fit in here as it is, but I think if I organize these skeins in a kind of different configuration, we might be able to, because will these fit this way? They do. Just. Okay. So that means I just have to organize the bag. Isn't this such a good color? Oh my God. Okay, so there are 7 of these, which is definitely an awkward number as far as trying to store things in a tidy, modular way, but we will do our best. Okay, now can I get my Peru yarn in here? That is the question. Can you just like stack that way? Do you just want to fit like that? I have 10 of these guys. This is a very Christmassy collection of yarn together. It's not my favorite combo of yarns to store together as far as making them look the most beautiful when I open that bin, but you know what? That's fine. It'll be beautiful when I open my cupboard and all my yarns are organized. Is this lid gonna go on here? Not like that. No, it's not. Is there any other? Oh, actually, Here we go. These will share better together. I think that I can put my Peru yarn with my Cascade probably, and then my Mojave should be able to share with my Libyanime because it doesn't take up as much room. Okay, that's one. And I think these should fit. I will say these IKEA bins are really cute, but one negative thing about them is they are really prone to static and collecting all of the little dog hairs or whatever other dusty bits might be around your home. So bear that in mind should you choose to have the same. Also, I should mention, if you ever want something from IKEA, first check Facebook Marketplace or like whatever your usual equivalent of that is, because shockingly often I'm able to get things from IKEA that are the exact thing that I was gonna buy for like half the price. IKEA things are just standard and like everywhere enough that you can just search by product name, and often you can find it on Marketplace. In this case, I did not manage to. I looked for a few weeks and they never turned up, but a lot of IKEA things, especially the like most popular things, like if you want like a Calyx shelf or a Billy bookcase, like check Marketplace. You can usually find them for a good deal and it'll usually already be assembled for you. Okay, it's a little bouncy, but it'll do. So that goes there. So that leaves us with a bin that we can put miscellany in, which is good. What all miscellany can fit? Let's find out. Does this fit in here? It does, but it takes up a lot of space. Is that worth it? It depends on what else needs to go, right? Because my essential blanket yarn needs to go somewhere, just when I thought I had everything figured out. Okay, the tote bags can go in here. Take this out. The sewing stuff. The swatches. I was like, what is this again? Already forgotten. See how hopeless that is? Okay, these I actually need to pile the other way. Okay, stitch markers, needle case. Should my binder go in there? Or does my binder live? Do I have room for it to live like on the side? It's not like it's gonna fit that way, like beside them. Does it fit this way? Almost on the bottom, but no. I have been starting to wonder in going through this organization process, and this is bringing that back up, like maybe that dreaded bin next to the couch like kind of needs to be there. Like even if I get all this stuff sorted in here, does my like ongoing project bag not still need to go somewhere? Does this not still need to go somewhere? I just don't really like having it in that corner, but maybe that's kind of inevitable. Maybe actually because I don't like having this much yarn, like projects ahead worth of yarn, maybe once I knit through some of that, because I am trying to get caught up, buy less yarn, get caught up, therefore free up some of this space. So maybe if I reach the goal of clearing out a bin's worth of yarn, that bin can then be co-opted to house other things, such as the binder, the ongoing project, etc. Maybe that's kind of like our plan. And just for now, we have to have the couch bin. And my reward for knitting through yarn and not buying more yarn is that the couch bin gets to go away. Maybe. Okay, so let's put, these two are my scrap yarns, right? Yes, okay. Let's get the scrap yarn in. One of our new ones. Yeah, God, it really is staticky. I use this style of bin from IKEA for all sorts of other things in the house. I have a bunch of like coppers things organized in the cupboard with them. And I don't feel like I normally have this issue, so I'm hoping that this is just kind of an issue of me like being here rummaging around everything, using it a lot right now, and that hopefully the static will like settle itself down, because I feel like it looks really cute except for all the hair stuck to them. Okay, the other side is still full of Disney DVDs, so I have to do something with that before that will disappear. Where do I want to keep this? I mean, it is pretty. Does it just like live out? Maybe it just sits on top of the TV cabinet. I don't know. I need to find my measuring tape anyway and get some of this Disney movie collection out of here. So BRB. it just occurred to me what I can use that little snappy part for. I was like, what should I do with this cord that I need sometimes when I'm recording or just like at my computer while I'm knitting? If I'm like trying to watch something and like my iPad's dying or something. Do you fit well in there? Sort of does. It's sort of, I think I just like wound it too small. All right, I think that's worth trying at least, seeing how I like that there, because I do sometimes need that while I'm knitting or getting ready to film, one or the other. So that makes, I still haven't found that measuring tape. Okay, so we can now put these away. I think that I'll put the sort of non-scrap scrap over at the far end. And the, or no, I think it should be at the bottom. It should be on the same row as the other scrap things. It's just like less scrapped. And the tools, I think, should go on the top shelf here. And finally got my measuring tape. It was up with my blocking stuff, which would make sense. And I can finally join the rest of the notions in the notion page of my binder, which it's fun. This little clamp that holds it together, it comes off and it's magnetic. So you can pull it off to get your thingy in there, and then it just like bloop onto the binder. Ta-da! Isn't it so good? It's so good. So that is the binder fully stocked with our things. It doesn't seem nearly as like floppy as it did when I first got it and it didn't have anything in it. It has really taken on a bit of life now that it has some things in it. So that's exciting. Now where do I want it to live? This is the question. Where do I want my ends collection to live? Where do I want my essential blanket yarn to live? Oh, this remote needs to go back in here. All right, well, that looks so much better. Progress, organization. And I don't want to ruin it by shoving a bunch of things like in and around these. So what should I, are we back to the couch bin? Does this just go in the couch bin? I hate the couch bin. Is there somewhere else the couch bin could go that would be less objectionable to me? Not really. Okay, maybe does this fit? Oh, there's a card in here that's like just slightly too tall for that. I got gigantic fluff. Get out. Does it fit in my, I know it's not notions, but like, fit in here? No, I don't think I want to overstuff that one. Like, as I'm tempted to try to kind of like sneak more things into this bin that has my like needle case and my like sewing case and my project bags, but I kind of think that what's gonna keep it feeling usable and accessible is the fact that it's not overstuffed and you can actually see what's in it. So I think I need to leave that alone. So where should my unraveled bag go? Like, it is technically a work in progress. Does that mean it lives in the bin with my other whip, my Lakes cardigan? Maybe that is what that means. It just seems silly because there's so much yarn left that I haven't touched. I've not gotten very far very quickly in this project. I've learned that I'm even more monogamous a knitter than I realized. I think though, I fear we might be back to the couch basket. I fear we might have to put in our unraveled bag and our loose ends bag. Which, I mean, I guess it's probably for the best that that's close to the couch so that when I snip off little ends, it doesn't have to like go far. So if I'm having that, then it probably makes sense for the binder to stay there and then it's like close at hand anyway. Or do I want to put it like up here? Do we like it there? It does stand up. That's kind of fun. Like in behind my candles, though I guess maybe that's a bad idea. When I light my candles, it might get kind of like smoked up or something. I don't know. Like maybe it does just go in the couch bin and like maybe sometimes it's just hanging around on the coffee table. Like it's cute. That could just be on the coffee table, right? That's not the worst thing in the world. Okay, I think that's it. I think that's our final form. I think the couch bin It's gonna go back into its corner by the couch, much to my chagrin, but nevertheless. And, ow, I just bonked my head on the light fixture. Copper's like, finally, I have my corner back. Okay, it's a new day. I've been editing a bunch of this footage as I go along. And I've kind of been thinking like, dude, do you really need to keep all of those things? Like specifically in the Notions binder, I'm looking at it going, why am I organizing all these crochet hooks that I'm talking about never using? And that's not to say I don't think I should get rid of all of them, because I do use them sometimes, like especially if I'm working like a complicated stitch pattern, or you know, if you like realize you dropped a stitch a million rows down. I would much rather fix that with a crochet hook than with my knitting needles. But I don't think that I need like this variety of 4 different sizes. Like, am I ever really gonna need my 8mm one at this point in my knitting career? Like early on when I was knitting a lot of bulky stuff, as I think a lot of beginners do, sure, it makes sense. At this stage, I think part of what is making me be more willing to look more critically at whether I want to keep these things is the fact that I now have a donation plan lined up with a really cool organization where I think these things are actually going to get used. So it's not like I'm just dumping these at the Value Village drop off and like hoping that someone buys them and they don't just get immediately trashed before they ever hit the store floor, which is like the more likely outcome. So I feel better about the idea of donating them, knowing that like some kid is probably actually gonna get good use out of this. So that's helping me to like be a little bit more critical about whether these things actually have a role in my future knitting career. So I think this is one that we can remove. What else do we have? So these 2 little ones, one is a 4.5mm, which is the size I work at all the time. One is a 3.5. Do I honestly think that I need like a multitude of them in sizes that close together? Like, I don't think that your crochet hook needs to match your needle size that precisely when you're just fixing stitches. However, I don't really want to get rid of these, I don't think, because I think these are the kind of thing that's fairly likely I will lose one at some point. I think that is worth keeping. This big one though, this 6mm, like again, I am not working at that size very often, and when I am, I could probably solve that problem with the 4.5mm or just with my knitting needle. So I think this is one, like I cannot remember the last time that I used this. I think this one can also be donated for the children. And then I'm also looking at my cable needles. Do I need 3 cable needles? They're different sizes though. Not that your cable needle needs to like really precisely match your size. However, it can't be too far off or it won't like fit comfortably on there. But so what is this one? Do you have a size? No, of course it doesn't have a size on it. Like, knowing that cable needles kind of need to be slightly bigger than your working needle rather than smaller to make sure they don't slip off. Like, how often am I using a needle that's smaller than this? How does this compare to the 3.25 crochet hook? They're the same, if not the crochet hook being slightly larger. So like if this is smaller than 3.25 and it's supposed to be used with a knitting needle that is smaller than it is, absolutely never am I using this. Not to say that you couldn't use it with larger ones, because the whole point is that this one does have the loopy part, so you could slide it into something bigger and then it would stay there. But I just, like, do I need several cable needles? How big is this one? Am I gonna use this? Maybe, am I being like overzealous now in my decluttering? Am I being like, get out and I will regret it later? Will I regret that? I definitely want to keep this one. But so, okay, if we're being honest, I also don't even love these cable needles. Just like as a style, I had been using just like another one of my interchangeables as a cable needle, just a straight one. And again, using a size slightly bigger than my main needle size, so it kind of holds them easily and they don't slip off. I've been doing that and I was like, maybe it's time for me to try a real cable needle. I've been doing lots of cables lately. They're very inexpensive. I think it's time to get a real cable needle. And I did not find that it was an upgrade. I don't like the way that these flop around. Like when it's the straight needle, it will just kind of sit parallel to my work, either in front or behind. Of course, it's like a little bit in the way, as cable needles I think inevitably are, but I found these would get much more in my way because of the way they kind of stick out from the, like, perpendicular to your work if you are resting the stitches in the little curved part, which I think is the whole point. So I don't know.
I don't know if I love them, so I probably don't need 3 of them, but there is the size issue. No, you know, we're just gonna keep the one white one. We're gonna donate these 2. I think that's the right decision. Okay, I'm also looking at this top section where I was complaining about these fixed circulars and how awkward they are to store. And over the last few days, because I filmed the actual decluttering, what day is it now? Today's a Wednesday. I filmed that on a Sunday, is that true? Days of the week are a construct. I've been thinking in the time since that it might be time to buy a set of interchangeable wooden needles. And I'm thinking that, I mean, I'm probably like, I'm in the middle of organizing everything, and it's really showing me the like strengths and weaknesses of my collection. And I'm sitting here like trying to organize these like random mismatched bits of wooden things that I've started accumulating, and they're annoying me and I don't like them. The fixed wooden circulars, in addition to being kind of awkward to store because they're fixed, they are like bamboo. Like it's way too much friction for me. I really don't enjoy knitting on that kind of wood needle. So I think I would like to replace them with wooden needles that are still wooden but are much smoother. So I may have actually placed an order that is hopefully going to turn up in the next few days, and I can finish documenting the process of organizing, including the new additions. But that means that I can actually empty out some of what's here. So these 4.5 fixed circulars, these are the ones that I bought to take on my trip to Peru so that I could keep working on my collet. These can be donated, as well as the 5.5mm ones that came with my essential blanket. These are very similar, if not, are they the same? Well, the font is different actually in the way that the size is printed on them, so I guess it's not from the same set, but they're very similar, and I dislike them both for the same reason. I think they're bamboo. I am just not a bamboo needle person. I cannot deal with the scrapiness. So for the children. What else do I have in here? Okay, so the other things still in this section are my spare 6mm, which part of me wants to donate to get them out of my collection now that I found the one that had been missing that I bought these to replace. But I feel like doing that will summon the gods of lost possessions, and my original 6mm will once again be missing, so we're not gonna do that. I do think though that these driftwood interchangeables from Luca, these are the 4mm. I think that I'm going to donate these also because, so I decided when I ordered my new set, I was thinking about just getting a set of the driftwoods. I already have these ones because I think these are the ones that were most readily available at the time that I needed to get a wooden set for traveling. But if I'm being honest, I don't love the gray toned wood. I just don't. Has my camera been like slowly turning this whole time? It's just like balanced on my laptop via my pop socket. So it's we're a little precarious today. And considering that buying one more set of these needles was $9 and I have somewhere I can donate these that I know that they will actually get good use, it's worth $9 extra to me when I'm buying a set of them to get the set in the color that I actually want. So these are also gonna go in the donation pile. So that leaves our binder a little more empty than it was at the start of this segment, but I do actually have some thoughts of what I wanna do now that that's the case. So we're gonna check back in with this in a little bit.
All right, let's go drop off some donation yarn. So I've got it here with me. I also have Bean, where are you? I've got Bean back here because I'm taking Bean, who's with me today, and Copper, who's in the way back and is great, to go have some fun off leash time after we drop this off. But we are taking this to a local nonprofit organization called the Living Room Community Art Studio, which is based in Oshawa, which is a pretty reasonable drive for me. And they do really cool stuff, bringing free and low cost arts and crafts opportunities and programming to people in underserved communities, which is just like the kind of really cool, heartwarming thing that like restores a little bit of my faith in humanity when things are really dismal. And you know, we can use some of that right now. So let's go drop off some yarn. Look at their super cute art bus. Oh my God. All right, our drop off is complete. We are one giant bag of yarn later and onto our off-leash adventure. Actually, just kidding. First, I need to drop off a package for our yarn giveaway winner. Update, sadly just a short on-leash walk because there's thunder currently happening and I don't want them to get scared and run away. All right, so I'm home now from our yarn drop and failed off-leash excursion, boo. I was hoping that if we stuck around a little bit and the thunder was still like really distant that it would stop, and instead after half an hour I got an alert that it was supposed to become a severe thunderstorm with giant hail and terrible wind. So we came home. But anyway, I realized I forgot to mention that I'm going to include a link in the description for a site that can help you find an organization local to you that might want your yarn donations if you're doing a similar thing, looking for somewhere for it to go. Okay, I have a bit of an update on the Notions organizing because I decided to invest in some more Notions. Doing this whole process has really had my gears turning about like getting my setup kind of to the point where I'm happy with it. And I had mentioned that, you know, I've been thinking at some point I would like to get a proper set of wooden interchangeables that I don't hate. And then I just haven't convinced myself to do that yet. I convinced myself to do it. Part of this is related to the yarn ban that I've decided that I'm on as sort of a like, okay, if I'm not going to be spending money on that for the next several months, this seems like a reasonable time to invest in those needles. And also just like, I'm organizing everything, and I cannot deny the influence that organizing everything has had on me kind of wanting to get everything to its like optimal state. And I feel like having the tools that I want to have is part of that, especially because like looking at my tools and organizing them, I'm thinking like, I feel like I've kind of got everything, you know, like I'm not usually a big like Notion shopper. Like I'm not buying like fun stitch stoppers or fun stitch markers or things like that. Like I just like to find things that work really well for me and like stick to it. And I feel like looking at these tools, I feel like we're there. I feel like I've got them, minus those wooden needles. They kind of felt like the last missing piece. So I ordered these from an Etsy shop that lets you order like individual needles from a lot of the big sets, especially the Luca ones, which is how they found them. When a couple of my needles from my Luca Cypher set were confiscated by airport security on my way home from Mexico, which is when I learned that, you know, knitting needles getting banned or not just depends on exactly how that country defines knives, and Mexico rather fairly defines them as, you know, metal pointy objects. I mean, no arguments there. So that was when I found this shop, and I've now ordered from them a few times as I've needed to replace things recently when I lost my 5.5 millimeter needle. And I thought, you know what? I think I would rather, because you can, the needles that I ordered, you can get like the whole set with the case of them. But I had the thought of like, I don't think I really want to buy them with a case. Like the Luca cases, like they're nice, right? They're like substantial. But since I have this really nice knitting binder now, I feel like I want to move more in the direction of consolidating into one thing using that rather than adding another case that's just needles. Like I was already kind of feeling like this felt like a selling point when I bought that needle set, but now I'm kind of like, I don't know, like maybe I would rather at some point move these needles into my binder, like get another insert to fit them. And now I have this though, and that seems wasteful. And what do I want to do with that? So and anyway, I decided I did not want a case with these. So I just ordered them from that Etsy shop instead of ordering the full set from like Luca directly, or I don't know if that's even a thing you can do, from like a yarn store. I also decided to get a couple more cables because one of mine snapped recently. You know how there's like this join here? It just snapped like right here. So we're down a cord and I decided I would like to add a longer one as well. So I got a 47-inch cord and a 24-inch cord. I think this is the one that snaps, so this is a replacement. And then I just thought it would be nice. Sometimes I just find myself wishing I had a longer cord. And then I just have a whole bunch of needles. These are the Luca Umber in all the standard sizes. So where are they going to live? So it's been like a week or two since I filmed the last of my organization stuff. And in that time and working with things since, I've kind of been thinking, okay, I feel like I now have a better sense of what I'm missing in this organizational system, like of what's working well and of what I would like to start expanding that binder with to better accommodate the other things. Like I mentioned before, I felt like I couldn't really just out of the gate design like the perfect setup because you just kind of don't know until you start trying to organize what you got. And I feel like after a little bit of working with it, I felt like I knew what I needed, at least the next thing that I need, not the only thing I might choose to evolve it with in the future, but sort of the next obvious step. So what I got is this page, which has a needle holder
at the top. So these sizes on it match the sizes that I ordered for the Umber needles. And then at the bottom here, this is their Rolodex style pocket. And so it has all of these little, like kind of Ziploc-y envelopes in it, which I am planning to use for a combination of sort of cords and cables and also for separating my stitch markers, because I've been finding that my one kind of issue with this setup so far is that the stitch markers are just, it's just not been ideal, having them kind of all like mushed in together in this like little small pocket that's hard to like get into and see what you're grabbing. And then like the rest of them, like the main collection, is kind of like off in a bin across the room, put away in a box inside another box inside another box, as if this is like the Emperor's New Groove. And it's just, I felt like I needed them organized more, but more close at hand. So I think that this has eight pockets. So that's gonna help me organize my different needle cables by length, like labeled, so I actually know what I'm grabbing, and my stitch markers. So I'm excited about that. But the primary thing that I want to show you right now is putting the needles away. So let's see what we got. Okay, so these are our 6mm. So these are the second biggest. I got a slightly more condensed set in these than I have in my metal needles, but honestly, like at this point, like I can't remember the last time that I used one of my big needle sizes in the metal needles. I used them more when I was more starting out. So I was like, okay, I don't think that I really need that in my wooden set, which is primarily intended to be like a travel set. For now, this feels like the appropriate set. These 3.25. These are my itty bitty ones. When this first arrived, for a second I was like, oh no, did I accidentally order the one for crochet hooks? Because I just thought that like the little elastics that hold the needles, it just seemed small for holding 2 needles. Like I was like, that looks very obviously sized to hold 1 hook. Like, is this a crochet set? I was like, there's no way that this is going to hold 9 sets of knit needles. There's just no way. Turns out there was a way. But so part of what prompted me to order this next page for the binder already, which I had kind of figured, you know, I mean, these things are not cheap. I'll probably wait and build this up more slowly over time. But like 2 days after I placed my order for the binder, they announced a 15% off sale site-wide. And I was like, no, because I just got it. And like 15% off is not normally a sale number that would like change my mind, you know, that would like make me buy something that I wasn't already planning to buy. But 15% off something expensive is like significant savings. So I emailed them and I was like, is there any chance you do like, I guess that's not a rain check on a sale, but what do you call that when you buy something and then it immediately goes on sale and then you get like a reimbursement for the sale difference if it's still within like the return window? So I emailed them being like, any chance you guys do anything like that? And they were like, oh, no problem, totally get it. And they gave me a gift card. So I was like, well, the only thing I can do with this money is buy more threaded maple, so maybe it's time to expand my binder. So that contributed to the expansion of this. Now the last one is like not wanting to fit. Did I accidentally buy the crochet hook one? Jury is still out. All right, they're all in. Ta-da! Welcome to the collection, little friends. Now I don't need to panic buy whatever crappy needles I can source last minute next time I realize I'm about to get on a flight and would like to take some knitting with me. So, ta-da!
Editing alley, turns out it is in fact their crochet hook thing, that I managed to get all my needles in there. It's definitely a tight squeeze for some of them. I wouldn't like recommend it as like a #1 course of action, but considering that I did buy it, it's mine now, and it works all right, I'm gonna stick with it because it means that storing these needles takes up less space than it would otherwise, because the alternative is one that accommodates actually needles on purpose, but they're more spread out so that it's easier, but that means it's spread across the whole top and bottom of the page. So we're just gonna go with it. I am kind of feeling like, man, I wish that my metal needles also lived in here, which I'm sort of torn about because like, then what do I do with this, right? Like it sort of makes this redundant, but it would be really nice if, because this the last week or two has sort of been like hovering around within arm's reach when I've been working, and there have been 1 or 2 times where like I needed to switch out my needle size and it was kind of like, oh, I wish that was there within arm's reach when this was away in one of the bins under the TV stand. So that might be an expansion in the future. They do have pages that store the full, I think it's 12 sizes of needles that are in this. Yeah, 12 sizes. The wood ones was just a 9 size, smaller set. But so the 12 needle sets take up a whole page in the binder, so that would be its own whole thing. And honestly, that might be my binder full, because so there are 2 different sizes of the binder you can get. This is the regular size. There's also a jumbo one that was, I think, an inch thicker in the spine to give you more room for more pages. And so I think that the regular one, I think it's like up to 4 pages, but the up to is because like it depends on the thickness of the pages you put in and how much you like cram into them. So with mine, I currently have 2 pages in it, and I feel like I could definitely fit a 3rd in there, but as you can see, I've got like quite a bit of bulk going on, so I don't know that I could actually fit a 4th page in here. So I kind of need to be thoughtful about what I want that last page to be, so I'm gonna sit on that for a little bit. And I did debate when I got this one, I debated getting the jumbo one because it was only like $10 more. Like it was a very like insignificant upgrade in the scheme of like what it costs to invest in one of these in the first place. So I was like, well, it would be much safer to get the jumbo one and then like never like worry about running out of space. But it's just so big, like once you add another inch, that I felt like that might really take away from some of what I appreciate about this and its ability to sort of float around in a way that is sort of like unobtrusive, because it's nice, but it keeps things close at hand while making me feel still like organized and like my home isn't in disarray. So I thought that the jumbo one might be a little too obtrusive for my liking, but it does mean that I need to be a little bit extra sort of thoughtful about what I want to invest in to expand it. So that's where we're currently at. For a moment, I thought, wait a minute, what if I store my wood needles in here and I put my metal needles in the thread and maple thingy? But then I remembered that to fit the metal needle set would take up a whole page, and I really wanted the page that half of it had that Rolodex section with all little zippies, because I thought that would be really helpful for sort of the last remaining organizational quandaries I've been running into. So TBD on what I decide to do there, but progress. Okay, did you think we were done organizing? So did I. Turns out no. Turns out this process could spiral on forever, but I'm gonna cut it here. This is the last one, okay? This is our last opportunity to do decluttering. But here's what's happening. Here's what I'm thinking. So since I showed you that I got that page to add in my wooden needles, I have been thinking, well, in doing that and getting those wooden needles, in the fact that that means that I don't need those fixed circulars anymore that I decided to donate along with the yarn that I didn't want, that's left me with some space in the back of my knitting binder. And I was thinking, you know what should go there? So I have, this is my collection of my Grams's knitting stuff that she gave to me when I started knitting, because she's not knitting anymore. Though fun fact, Grams told me she just started crocheting again for the first time in a really long time. I guess it's a little bit easier on her hands than knitting is. So very exciting that Grams is getting back into fiber crafts. But I do have all of her knitting stuff that I kind of will go into here once in a while if I'm looking for a specific thing. Most of it is at this point sort of redundant because of my interchangeable set that I got. There's a lot of fixed circulars in here and also a lot of straight needles, which I just don't tend to have a lot of need for. I'm knitting in the round so often, but once in a while I'm like, you know what would make this easier? A pair of straight needles. And you know, when I have actually made use of that, it's usually been far later than it should have been. Like I've usually kind of fought my way through with what I'm already using for quite a while before I decide to go digging in this bin. And I'm just thinking that maybe if I actually had a few things in here that I'm more likely to use more frequently, if I might actually then use them even more frequently because they're handy. So I'm thinking specifically about straight needles, or actually I think I mean DPNs in the cases where I'm thinking it would be useful. But if I can find DPNs in some of my most commonly used sizes, I think that those would be things that would be smart to promote into the knitting binder, just to have them close at hand. So let's go through here and see what we can find. The fun part of this is that I think I found that a lot of these don't actually have sizes written on them, but that is why I have one of these little needle sizer buddies, which I almost never have occasion to use. I use this 99% of the time for the ruler along the sides, but today we have a use case, so let's go. Okay, you know what? I think actually what's gonna be easiest is if I just dump all of these out. Okay, so there's a giant pile of needles in front of me that you cannot see. One moment, let me show you this. All right, so that's, oh, we're so crooked now. All right, I hope you appreciated that because it really messed up the camera. I'm trying, like, what has Grams knit that is this chunky? This chunky. Grams, what have you knit with this? Next time I see you, I need you to tell me. Now I'm like, are the ones that I want even in here, or did they end up? No, but if they were in my couch bin of doom, we would have found them when I emptied the couch bin of doom. So I must have put them back in here, unless this has just dragged on for so long that we did and I have simply forgotten, which, you know what? Not impossible. Okay, so these I need to go through and determine sizing. Sometimes, like when I first start like trying to use this to figure out a needle, there will be one where like, hey, it like goes in, but does it go in like the right amount? Like, is it too easy or too small? And then I find the one that it actually is, and I'm like, oh no, that's obviously what it is, because it like it fits, but like just barely. So that's a 5. I don't think I need a 5 DPN that close at hand, but that's not far off the sizes I normally. Okay, you know what? Let's keep a couple of them out, and then depending on how many kind of pockets I find that I have once I've added other things, we can decide. Are these all 5? There's 3 of them. Oh, so there are, I was about to stick these in here, and remember there is one set of these already in here. What size are these ones? So these are ones that I previously used on a button band. So 3.25, 5, 4. 4 is a size that I might want. Now we have to find its buddy. Are you its buddy? Are you my mother? This is teeny tiny. I don't know what this is, but I know it's something I never knit at that size. So these, I think, little stabby things can all go in here. I find it funny when there's like regulations around whether knitting needles count as like weapons in different security contexts, because like, I mean, I think if you ask me, it should depend on the size of the needle. Like, some of these would be a lot easier to cause a wound with than others. Oh, we found the 4. Nailed it. I think I just don't have a 3.5. What do I want to do organizationally? So in our current state, after doing that last cull when I got rid of some notions before I was donating, we removed some things here. So we've ended up currently with 1, 2, 3, 4 empty pockets. Definitely more than one pair of DPNs can sit in each of these. I think I'm going to move my spare interchangeable tips. I think these are gonna go in here. That's the 5. This can be the 4 and the 4.5, 3.75, 3.25. For some reason lacking a 3.5. But yeah, okay, so that's sorted quite nicely. And this little buddy can go back where he came from, which leaves us with one last part of this to organize, which is when I got this page for the wooden needles, I did like a customized one so I could build it up the way that I wanted to. I got this one with all these little zippy pockets because I wanted somewhere to put my interchangeable cords and also some of my stitch markers. So I'm gonna figure that out now. Where are all of my interchangeable cords? Because currently I've got the couple of new ones that I got when I got those needles. I know I have one in a project right now, but I think others are missing. Give me a moment. Oh, turns out I was sitting on another one, also in a size we don't need. But so I found one. One is on a project. I just hit myself in the face. One of them is on my project I'm currently working on. One of them broke recently, but I think it came with 5, I want to say. But I need to know exactly what it came with because I need to be able to label things. No, I don't think we're gonna label things today. I think that labeling should wait until this is a little bit more lived in and I'm confident about what's gonna go where. But these little zippy pockets did in fact come with little labels that I can stick on, which will be handy for labeling the exact length of the cords. Not that honestly, like, I have been knitting with these for years without actually knowing what the length is written on them. I I just am like, where's the long one? Where's the short one? Where's the medium one? So that's really all I need to know. But I do just want to, I'm gonna look up my set of needles online just to see what sizes it came with, just so I know how many different sizes I have, so I know how many pockets I need to reserve. One moment. Okay, cords for 24 inches 2 times, 32 inches 2 times, and 40 inches. So 24, 32, and 40. And then one of the replacement ones I got is a 24, so that's to replace the one that broke. And I also got a 47, which is an extra long one, and this is longer than any that I have, which means that I have 4 different lengths of cords. And this pocket has 8 different pockets. So that means that we can have 4 that are for cords, and then I think 4 for different kinds of stitch markers, or possibly one of them is for my like try it on tubing. I think I would like one for try it on tubing, so 3 for stitch markers, which I think is okay because I do have more than 3 kinds of stitch markers, but they're so different from each other that if a couple of them are mixed together, I don't think that's like an issue as far as finding what I want, especially in these cute little clear pockets. So actually, let me get my tried on tubing. All right, just so we have like a visual, oh God, I'm hitting myself in the face again, visual frame of reference here. So I'm gonna guess that this is my 40-inch one, seems long. Then there's also my 24. Oh yeah, so this is the short guy, the 24-inch one. Oh, it also came with more of these little stopper guys, so I need to put those away. And this is the big guy. And so it's the medium size that I think I'm using one on my project right now. And the other one is somewhere, oh, it might be on my essential blanket. That's probably where it is. So that's accounted for, the long one's accounted for. So one small one is missing then because one broke, but one small one must be floating around somewhere. Anyway, I will find it eventually. What do I want in the front? Do I want the first few to be cords or stitch markers? I mean, I feel like you don't really switch cords a lot in most projects. Like it's kind of like a one and done situation, where stitch markers can come out more frequently. So maybe stitch markers in the front. We'll test that out. We'll see how it feels. But so this is the long one. So I'm gonna put it in the very back pocket. This is my 40-incher, so it will go in the second to back pocket. Oh, for a second I was like, why are some of these like backwards? Why do they zip opposite ways? No, it's actually so smart that they zip opposite ways, because it means that when they're all closed, it's like alternating which side is taking up extra space with this, because if all of these were on the same side, it would be really chunky. That's so smart. 47 inches, we have 40 inches. We're gonna leave this one empty for the 32 or whatever it is. This one for the 24-incher, the little guy, which these cord lengths always confuse me because I do believe the 24 inches is the length that it is with your needles, because this is not 2 feet long. Actually, before I say that on record, should I measure this using my handy dandy measuring tape? Yeah, it's only like 15 inches long. Yeah, okay, I am correct. It's just, that's the length that it is once you add on your needle tips. So which is why it always seems wrong to me and why I have no idea what length of cord these are called, because it's not the length of them. Back to our cords. Those are all in, right? No, I dropped it when I was measuring it. My brain is doing a really excellent job of being a brain today. Now, let's put in our try-it-on tubing. This is another one that I do have multiples of, but that they end up like floating in weird places around the house. They just like fall out of things. So more of those will appear at some point, but for now, one of them is in its pocket. So then I have these little cord stopper guys that came with, that came with the new ones. Maybe I should just throw these in here like with the cords just to have some on hand. Do I want to do that? Is that just messy? What do I have in here again? Okay, yeah, all of the little cord stoppers are currently in this pocket on my page with all the little notions. So I think maybe I will just add these in there with those, because so it's all still in the binder, it's all still handy. This is my little pouch that I made myself of some like miscellaneous stitch markers that I was originally thinking like that's the form in which I will keep them in here, because I also have the rest of them in these boxes, but it's just too much bulk to go in here in this format. But now that I have the option of these little Ziploc guys, I'm wondering if I can get them into a slightly more sorted, usable format down here, and that they're not like in a bag, inside a pouch, and it's a little pouch, and it's like hard to like, you know. We have 3 pouches left to work with in here. We have big circles, medium circles, small circles, spirals and triangles, and light bulb stitch markers. So 6 different kinds of markers, 3 compartments. How do I want to do this? I think maybe there's like quite a lot of the light bulb ones, the locking stitch markers, and those are so much sort of their own category as far as function that I think they should be its own pouch, because a lot of the other markers, it's like a medium circle or a big circle are both fine. Like one might be bigger than it needs to be, but they both serve the same purpose. The light bulb stitch markers do not. So I'm gonna put them in their own little compartment here. In the middle, let's do, I mean, the swirls are kind of a similar use case in that you can like add them on when you're like not at that stitch. Honestly, the swirls are like a subpar light bulb stitch marker because you can add them in somewhere where you're not currently at the point in the work, but they also like can fall out because they can just spin around and then the spiral falls out. So I haven't really been using these since I got the light bulb stitch markers. This is kind of what I was using for that purpose until I got those. So should they live with those? But then no, because they'll spiral all around each other. It'll be a disaster. I think maybe I will do all of those with the triangles because I don't use the triangles a ton. And I also feel like those will be pretty easy to separate from each other because they're just very different shapes. There's like a hair in here already. Wouldn't be mine if it didn't have hair in it. I will just do the rest of the different circle sizes all in one pocket, and like they're quite easy to distinguish from each other because they are quite dramatically different in size. Oh, this pocket is also the one that has the labels, which maybe I will move those to, we'll put that where the missing medium cord currently is not. Okay, tiny circles, medium circles. The medium circles are my favorite circles. They're the ones that are just like this size, you know, can you see that? They just kind of fit like basically every needle, basically all the time without a ton of extra bulk. That also probably means there's the least of those left because they get used the most and go missing the most. And then there's the large ones, which I don't have a ton of use for a lot of the time, but I do like it when I'm working with them because you know, sometimes you like need to have a stitch marker handy, but you're not using it right now. It's like the perfect size to go on my finger as like a ring while I'm working, and then it doesn't get lost. It doesn't end up under me. I know exactly where it is. It's great. Okay, so that's the ones that were in the bin inside this. These are now empty. I do think that I'm gonna hold on to these boxes for a bit because I wanna leave flexibility for like deciding that I wanna organize things slightly differently. Part of what like made me want to buy these in the first place was the format that they came in until Beloved Copper ate one of the tubes. But I don't want to get rid of that just yet in case I decide that I don't love this exact system for them and I want to use this space for something else. But for now, I feel like that's nice. I also need to sort out these guys. Of course, I went through and closed all of these to make my life harder. The fun thing about the light bulb ones is that they're the only kind of stitch markers that I find you can very easily like collect in the wild because a non-insignificant amount of the time, clothes tags will come on this kind of one. So anytime I find one that's like not in a cocoa knits color, like often it's black or sometimes it's like gold, I'm like, ah, that's one that I collected in the wild. Okay, we have everything in our little Rolodex format. Isn't it cute? I'll actually be able to like find my cords. Amazing. Okay, I believe with that, that is our finished, organized knitting binder, ladies and gentlemen, everyone in between and none of the above. And I'm sure this is something that will sort of morph and evolve over time as I use some tools more than others or just realize, oh, I find it's actually handy if this is there instead of there. But I feel like for a place to start, this feels 1 bajillion times better than the way that I was storing things at the start of this project. So yay. I also, while I'm here, I would like to do a little small business shout out for my little like couch arm table thing. I don't know what you want to call this, but it's just like a little wooden U shape that is just perfectly custom sized to the arm of my couch that holds like my tea while I'm knitting on my little hot plate because I always take too long to drink my tea, and my phone charger and my hand lotion that I truthfully should use while knitting more often than I actually do. My hands are very dry, but it's there and it's available to me should I desire to use it because of this very handy thing that is from an Etsy shop based in Calgary. I was like truly shocked when it arrived at like the craftsmanship of it. Like it is incredibly sturdy as an object, and just like, you know, as someone who has her fair share of things from IKEA, just something that has like no wobble to it because it's made with like, I'm not a woodworker, aka Nora Knits could tell you what these joints are called, but just, you know, when there's like little slits and then there's little pieces of wood in the slits and they all like slot together in such a way that like nothing moves, very satisfying. And it just also looks like a cute little like design detail on the side. So if you, like me, kind of had an awkward configuration where like a traditional end table wasn't gonna work super well and you just kind of need somewhere to put your knitting stuff or just your snacks or your drinks or whatever, I'll leave a link to that in the description because I was just really impressed by the quality, and I've had this for like 4 years now and I still am just like, it's so clever, it's so cute, it's so good. All right, so that's it. That's the process. So is it time now? Do we get to do the super fun before and after now? I think we do. Let's do it. Ready? Go. Like I'm living in my own little like TLC show right now, and I'm very happy about it. So there we go. Things are organized. I mean, obviously I, you know, discussed in previous portion, would love for the organizing of all the remaining stash in Ravelry to be a thing. I would love all this to be like weighed, photographed, accurately documented, all of these things. You know, the fact that the original scope of the project became 2 videos, I think quickly demonstrates why maybe that's not also gonna happen today. So I do think that we're gonna be due for a part 3 of this eventually, but I think that one's gonna have to like wait a little bit because this has just sort of taken over my life and I think I need to like regain a little bit of time. We'll get there. And in the meantime, I feel very good about the progress that's happened, and also to have my notions like nicely organized. Again, I will link this thread of maple binder in the description if you're thinking about it. It is an investment for sure. It might also be something you want to build up more slowly over time, but I just like, it just really is such a nice way to keep stuff feeling organized and together and at hand without being scattered everywhere. So I know that it's not going to be realistic for a lot of people, but if it is something that is feasible to you or something that you could maybe ask for as like a really nice gift this year if it's in your family's budget, I can't not recommend it. Like, it is really nice. I've also concluded that I think it's worth trying to do kind of a destash of some of the larger items that I don't really have a specific use case for right now in my stash, but I'm thinking specifically of all of that Touch Me mohair that I showed, which like I have ideas of what I could do with it, but to be honest with you, like none of them are high on my priority list. So I've decided, since I already have an Etsy shop set up for my merch, shout out, I might as well just throw the yarn up there that I want to destash, and just if it appeals to you, if it's a good enough deal based on probably in large part how much the shipping is depending on where you live. But if that's something you're interested in, I will leave the link to that in the description down below as well. So you will find there the Touch Me mohair, and you will also find 2 skeins of Norma Dar in the colorway Sake because, spoiler for my next project update, but I did in fact manage to finish my Lakes cardigan without tapping into the second last skein that I was this close to needing to tap into, but I managed not to. So I have 2 skeins of Norma Dar Sake, which is not enough to do a cardigan, but it's definitely enough to do something. And I know that yarn is quite hard to come by in a lot of places, especially in Canada, as I learned trying to get it here and having to order it from the States and pay all kinds of extra duty. So if you're in Canada especially and you just need a couple skeins, that's there in my Etsy shop. Editing alley, I just realized that I have almost an entire skein left of the Wandering Flock mohair from my Colette in the colorway Citrine. It's 40 grams, the skein is 50, so I'm also gonna pop that in my Destash. Things are feeling nice and organized and under control, which is really nice to not have those things sort of like nagging at me of like, I'm yarn that you should probably use, but will you actually ever? Seems unlikely, but you should because it's here. So nice to not have that kind of poking at the back of my brain all the time. And has this opened a can of worms? Like, do I kind of just want to like Marie Kondo my whole house right now? Like a little bit. I love a good declutter and organization. Do I need to reorganize my whole entire life? Possibly. But if this was more than the scope of a single video, yeah, I don't even want to think about that one. Anyway, I want to hear your side of things as far as stash organization. So if this is something that you have put thought into, that you have spent time on, what were the biggest game changers as far as like strategies or tools or even just like perspectives on how to wrangle your knitting stash and notions? And if it's not something you've done before, is it something that you're thinking about? Is it something you're planning to do in the future? And what are your sort of current thoughts around dealing with all of the physical stuff that comes along with this hobby? So let me know down in the comments. And if you'd like to be here next time, I hope you'll consider subscribing if you haven't already, but if you already have, you're my favorite, and I'll see you next time.